¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes a todos. Hoy es un verdadero lujo poder estar esta tarde aquí, en un sitio tan espectacular como este.
It is an honor to be in such a spectacular venue. Thank you very much to all of you. Thanks to those working behind the scene, because there's a lot of work for this to be able to run smoothly. It is a pleasure to be here with Alexander from Alliance Robotics. Thank you very much, Alexander, for being here to talk about connected factories. Intelligent, flexible, and connected factories. We're here to talk about connected factories. Factories that, due to the fact that they are connected, they become more and more flexible, smart, and, well, perhaps they are more exposed, but not for that less safe. I always kick off by speaking about why Telefonica and how Telefonica can help customers in the industry from a very holistic perspective. Oftentimes, customers have a biased perspective about Telefonica, or some customers don't know how Telefonica can contribute. So for that, I would like to speak about today's model in the sector, in the industry. We have departed from a model in which the value chain is still linear, less and less so, but still linear, and in the future the value chain will be interconnected, and the keys of the future of the value chain are the following: the digital core, and thanks to the digital core, information will flow between the different points of the value chain, and, well, we can make the most of this value chain thanks to the exploitation of data. This industrial sector model is based on some levers. One, connectivity, the connectivity of different assets, data. Secondly, cybersecurity, because of course there are many data, there's a lot of data flowing around, so it's very important to put the focus on cybersecurity. Then platforms, in the sense that all the information needs to be gathered, processed, and provide value to companies. And thirdly, big data. Big data is, of course, another important lever. So this is about, well, it's all about making the most of the data. So within these four levers, I believe that Telefonica is a key player. Be it we're a leader, or at least we're a relevant player. When it comes to connectivity, as you know, we are a very acknowledged actor, a leading actor, taking part of the main forums, such as the GSMA, where decisions are being taken about the future of the industry. We have specific architecture items designed for several industries, and now for a long time we have been working hand in hand with companies in the industry to help them understand how IoT can help them in their business processes. We're not speaking here only about cell connectivity. There's a lot of LAN networks in our factories, So as Telefonica, we are developing the IoT with our customers in the LAN networks, and we make the most of all this knowledge to bring it to IoT and help companies make sure that OT and IoT converge smoothly and safely. So cybersecurity is the second pillar that I would like to refer to. As Telefonica, we have been investing for a long time in acquiring companies in the area of cybersecurity. So we are a well-acknowledged actor in the area of cybersecurity, and we're scaling up the service model through our SOCs. We have more than SOCs around the globe, around the world. So we provide with this value layer to our customers, and we keep investing in innovation. A good proof of our investment in innovation is the opening of a robotics research center, as well as many other innovation centers scattered around the world. When it comes to platforms, Telefonica has been investing a great deal in our own data centers. We have been also transforming our centrals into X computing nodes, we have an ecosystem of agreements which is extremely wide with the main companies around the world, because we want to become specialists in these flexible computational schemes. We have been helping our customers for a long time to migrate critical applications for their business into the cloud, and we want to keep doing so thanks to new capacities. We're investing in our own technologies, such as blockchain, in order to stay in a leading position. We are pushing forward blockchain at the global level. When it comes to big data, we have been investing in big data related companies for a long time, and this has allowed us to gather expertise and to become a data-driven company and help our customers. We have been working on very specific use cases, and we are also helping in the redefinition of data governance schemes. As you can see, everything is based on big capacities, great industry levers, but all this would not be possible unless we partner with other key stakeholders that know our customers' business specifically and the challenges of the value chains of our customers in order to overcome real problems, everyday life problems in a factory, in the area of cybersecurity, processes, visibility, production, etc. So, when it comes to levers or facilitators, I believe that one of the key facilitators that will ensure that factories become more and more flexible is precisely connectivity. Connectivity needs to be defined as the basis of the common grounds of the business. That means we have a great responsibility because, of course, business continuity is key in all sectors. So we have been listening to our customers forever in order to better understand what they need, the features of their connectivity requirements, and what they insist on. Our customers insist on the importance of mobile environments. The layouts of the factories need to be more flexible, more agile, with less wires. Of course, this will be progressive, right? But we need to go towards a wireless environment. There's another requirement, which is traffic prioritization. So critical applications need to be managed as such, as critical, and be prioritized in comparison with other implementations in each sector. Of course, customers need congestion-free areas, and they need a specific SLA, because connectivity is the basis of the industrial business of our customers. More and more, we're moving from hundreds of connected environments to thousands of connected items. So these new environments will need to absorb all this new connectivity demand or need. Security needs to be by design. Channels need to be safe by design. And the vision of the connected asset has to be an inward perspective, but also an outbound perspective. We need to understand the life cycle of each asset before it enters a factory and when it leaves the factory, so inbound and outbound. We're going to give you three specific examples on which we are working with one of the world leaders in the area of automation, of the automotive sector, We're working with them in use cases rather, related to connectivity and other areas. We're going to share a short video clip with you. Let me see if it works. So this is the first case. We are in a case where a factory is running out of stock. So they need to increase productivity. They need to increase the pace of productivity of a specific vehicle for whatever reason. Imagine there's a certain scarcity of a vehicle and a factory is stopped for a couple of days, and then production needs to be resumed at a very fast pace. So thanks to these connected environments, thanks to AGVs, thanks to indoors location techniques, we improve the layout of factories by providing factories with a much more flexible and optimal layout so that the production pace increases and factories can adapt to increasing demands or fluctuations in demand. So we need to adapt to fluctuating demand patterns or unforeseen events in production lines. Let me move to the following example that we would like to share with you. The following example has to do with the deployment of software in cars. As you know, cars include more and more software, and each vehicle is very different. There's software for entertainment, driving assistance. Each vehicle is very different from the other. So there's a process in which all the information, all this firmware is uploaded to a specific vehicle, so the version for a specific customer. But not only this, but also the car or the vehicle needs to go through a battery of tests for each model. Thanks to this new connectivity and this low latency, we reduce the downloading process of the firmware, speaking about a great deal of data, and then of course the tests takes less time. And thanks to blockchain, we are now capable of listing all the features that have been used in each vehicle. Let's move to the following example. The following example has to do with the smart tools. Now imagine that there's a pipeline, an assembly pipeline with workers working with the smart tools. We have a screw here, so depending on the screw and the items that we're using has some parameters that needs to be adjusted. Here it's the strength of the roll, so it really depends on the item that we're working with, right? So how are things done usually? Well, workers or operators have a guideline and they have to read time after time how much strength they need to apply to each screw. They need to carry out an adjustment, read the guideline again, adjust the parameters again, go back to the device, screw again. So what is the experience with a smart tool? Well, a smart tool, thanks to the fact that they are connected, well, they allow operators to avoid all the stopping and reading. So automatically the smart device will know which item the operator is dealing with each time. So there is a layout about how the different adjustments need to be performed, and the screw adapts to each procedure. But not only this, also we can store in the blockchain the different parameters implemented in each one of the processes. So as you can imagine, this allows for a sharp reduction of manufacturing time. The error rate diminishes dramatically, and there is a proof of the quality of the product for our customers. Let's move on. Let's move on with the presentation. As you can imagine, in this ecosystem, connectivity is very important, and 5G will play a key role. Here we would like to reivindicate our role as operators. We understand that industrial 5G goes far beyond connectivity. We believe that in order to adapt to the needs of our customers, as Telefonica, we are putting at the disposal of our customers many more things than 5G. We're not only providing connectivity, but also very specific architectures developed or designed for the different needs of our customers, as well as other technological elements such as X computing, which will play a key role. I believe that you are all aware of the forces that, let's say, impact this area. We're moving more and more towards the cloud. We need more and more computational needs, and that's why we're moving towards more flexible environments such as the cloud. But there is another strength towards lower latency, or this towards strength or patterns, or thanks to the 5G, and will be capable of ensuring these ecosystems. As well, we have been working with companies of the industrial sector for a long time, trying to make them understand how new connectivity patterns will help them in their processes. Here we have several examples. We're helping Navantia in their facilities. We're implementing 5G and X computing for very different cases, such as remote assistance in operations that require of a high expertise without the need of counting on the technician on the side. So we're helping them improve their processes, making them smarter. We're also helping them improve the 3D scanning processes with a low latency transfer towards LAN systems with no need to move around. They can see the 3D duplicates. We're working with big retailers such as El Corte Inglés in their logistic facilities by getting rid of more and more wires in classification machines or optimizing routes in packaging machinery. We've been working for a long time in the infrastructure supervision, any form of supervision of any industry, thanks to drones and thanks to the improvement of connectivity and the capacity to process more and more data through artificial vision algorithms inserted in drones. And we're also working with Gestam. Gestam is very well known, probably by many of you, to help them virtualize factories, to help them virtualize the smart factory concept. Let's see the clip.
De componentes metálicos, básicamente carrocerías y chasis para el automóvil. El concepto de cuarta revolución industrial nosotros lo conceptualizamos con una idea que compartimos todos, es la Smart Factory. La idea de hacer un piloto 5G en nuestras fábricas es porque vemos la tecnología como una tecnología habilitadora de varias cosas.
El 5G es una tecnología que ofrece nuevas capacidades muy aplicables al sector industrial. En este caso hemos colaborado con Mobile World Capital y con Gestam, contribuyendo a hacer una digitalización de su fábrica utilizando las capacidades del 5G y del Edge Computing.
El proyecto en sí es generar esa combinación entre fábrica real y un laboratorio en el que experimentar con 5G. El gemelo digital es una representación, es un modelo virtual o digital de un medio físico. Lo que pretendemos hacer en el proyecto es generar algo tan inteligente como nos sea posible y que nos permita validar escenarios y tomar decisiones de forma más fiable.
La conectividad en la industria 4.0 es el primer paso siempre y después también, cuando unimos ese mundo virtual con ese mundo real, tenemos unas necesidades de computación tremendas.
Es importante el procesamiento en tiempo real porque permite hacer mucho más eficiente la toma de decisiones en las fábricas y es aquí donde entra en juego el concepto MEC que está montando Telefónica.
MEC son las siglas de Multi-Access Edge Computing y significa llevar las capacidades de cómputo y de almacenamiento muy cercanas al usuario. Esta cercanía permite habilitar servicios de baja latencia, que permite a las empresas no tener que realizar una gran inversión en TI, teniendo las capacidades de cómputo y almacenamiento en nuestra infraestructura de Edge Computing de Telefónica.
En España estamos en una situación privilegiada para ayudar a la transformación de la industria utilizando las capacidades de comunicaciones y especialmente el 5G.
Telefónica ha puesto a nuestro alcance mucha potencia en innovación y mucho conocimiento de la tecnología.
El 5G y estas nuevas tecnologías nos van a permitir dar respuesta a las demandas que tiene la sociedad hoy en día, ¿no? Que van desde la sostenibilidad hasta la personalización de los productos.
Muy bien. Y bueno, pues evidentemente todo.
So, of course, we're speaking about a great deal of information flowing around data, big packages of data, so cybersecurity becomes paramount. And so we need to be more and more aware of cybersecurity in the sector in the industry. Historically, when we refer to cybersecurity, perhaps we can speak about different waves. The first cybersecurity wave came with artificial intelligence and this first migration towards the cloud. The second wave has to do with IoT, the Internet of Things. So this can be seen as another perspective, right? So we can think about how factories are becoming more and more connected, smart factories. So, and the services we offer are more and more connected. Let's think about connected cars, connected counters, connected readers. So we need more and more connectivity for that. And so the question is, to what extent is the industry exposed to cyber attacks? And according to a recent report, manufacturing and energy rank very high in terms of received cyber attacks. We compared this report with a similar report in 2018. Manufacturing ranked number 5 in 2018. That means that from 2018 up to date, the increase of cyber attacks in the manufacturing sector has been rampant, and this means that the industry has experienced a digitization process. Probably the banking and insurance sector are amongst the most digitized ones, and that's why they are being victims of cyber attacks. Sometimes we think of cyber attacks as very complex cyber attacks, but oftentimes it's not the case. Oftentimes they're very simple cyber attacks, easy to prevent, and I believe this should make us reflect about how to respond to cybersecurity-related challenges. So what are the short-term challenges? We need to have a perspective about what is it that we have. Digitally speaking, what are my assets? How are they interconnected? What vulnerabilities do they present? So we need to carry out a map of the assets in our production plans. In the second step, we need to come up with a cybersecurity prevention, or rather promotion plan. Technology is key, but of course technology needs to adapt to real things, to organizations, processes, and realities. Last, we need to think about the services to come in the next few years. Perhaps today we're not capable of identifying potential new services, but we need to adapt preventively. Probably one of the main challenges that we will face is the increase in the robotization patterns. There are some sub-sectors which are highly robotized, and more to come for sure. So we need to think about how to respond to cybersecurity in robotics, and that's precisely the topic that Alejandro is going to talk about. Good afternoon, one and all. My name is Alexander Ariola, and I am the CEO of a startup based in the Basque Country, Alice Robotic, focused on robotics, a niche in niches, a highly disruptive market to be developed, to be invented, as I will prove. I would like to thank Telefonica, Manuel, and Telefonica in general, their bet for startups and disruptive areas such as cybersecurity in robotics. Today you will hear about whether robots are safe by design or not. Understanding cybersecurity from fear is very easy, the fear of being attacked, right? But it's very important to underline the added value that cybersecurity will bring to companies, and this is what you will be hearing about today during my presentation. Let me ask you, are robots safe by design? The answer is no. I believe Manuel has already given you some background information. Let's think about a company split between OT and IT, offices and IT. So let's travel back to the 80s. First computers in the market, 100% vulnerable. And up to recently, one big company purchased a cybersecurity startup and started embedding by design safe computers. cyber attack-free computers. So up to recently, no one had already taken that into account, and the same is happening in robotics. So robotics is not anything new. Robotics have been up and running for 20 or 30 years. There was a first robotics wave back 30 years ago, and many robots are unsafe because their design and their architecture are not designed to be cyber safe. Here we have a few examples of some unsafe robots with accidents and many others that perhaps we have not thought about because they are not reflected by the media. Now let's check different typologies of robots. Of course, the vulnerability rate depends on the typology of robots. Here we see the typical pipeline of an automotive company. Are robots safe or not? Well, they are jailed. They are in cages. This is a robotic line, an old-fashioned robotic line. These robots are segmented, not connected one with another. Companies tend to believe that they cannot be attacked, but of course they can. Everything is susceptible of being attacked. Let's be clear about it. All machines can be attacked. There will be more or less probabilities, but this is a fact. So this is a typology of robots that, for the reasons that I already listed, they are segmented, etc. The degree of vulnerability is very high, but of course this factory will in the future become a connected factory. All machines, all robots will need to be interconnected in the future. The typology of robots in which we work is totally agnostic to platforms. All typologies of robots can be attacked, and we work with them. These robots are anthropomorphic robots with a wide implementation in the field, in the manufacturing sector. But then we have cobots, so collaborative robots, which are more and more present, and these robots interact with us, with humans. We've seen examples in which robots can be hacked by using a simple USB pen drive. We're not speaking about sophisticated online cyber attacks. No, these robots are extremely vulnerable to even very simple cyber attacks. Let's think about mobile robots. We've been speaking about mobility. This is typology of robot widely used in logistic plans, and these robots you can be hacked through their Wi-Fi connections. Social robots, disinfection robots. Today in COVID-19 pandemic context, we have chirurgical robots. Imagine we are operating someone remotely. There's a connection. So we cannot say it's segmented or that the robot cannot be penetrated, and the consequences of a hacking of this nature can be fatal. Drones are another very interesting field. Drones are robots. So let me go back to the question: Are robots are robots safe by design? No, they are not. So as we've seen here in the robotic chain, this pattern is changing. What is a robotic chain? So it goes from the production of the robot all the way down to the implementation in their final use. So there are many players here. The manufacturer of the robot, who plays a key role. As I said before, today robots are not designed to be safe, but the situation today is very different from the situation we had a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, us as Allianz, well, we spotted no interest amongst robot manufacturers to include safety by design, whereas today this is changing extremely rapidly. Today, robot manufacturers, the top ones at the global level, they are more and more becoming interested to improving safety by design. Then we have the distributors of software, so they have no responsibility on the product's safety. They just buy it and sell it, and that's it. Then we have the integrators. They play a key part in the process. Integrators are companies that provide automation solutions, robotic lines. They are in direct contact with customers, and their knowledge of cybersecurity, well, they are more and more becoming interested in understanding more about cybersecurity, but their literacy in cybersecurity is very low, and they have a problem because the final users that we have here today, who's going to be suffering or experiencing a stop in their factory or a fatal accident, which hopefully will not happen, well, the responsibility will lay on the integrator. So today, as of today, in the end-to-end chain, no one takes responsibility for safety, and sooner or later, someone will have to. That's why we say that the pattern of the future is to be confirmed. According to some theories, it will be the very in the manufacturers who will have to embed safety cybersecurity measures, or others consider that it will have to be the end user. But this is something that has to be clarified, and that's why we are here. Why do we need to clarify this? Well, let's just speak about safety and security. These are two different concepts. Safety is more about physical security, human physical security, and in the sense, well, security has more to do with data security or safety. So what about today? We have no regulation. We have no regulation about cyber security. So no one is acting as responsible in this area. So the first little steps are being implemented. Regulation ISO 27000, other SAOs such as the 10218/1 on industrial robots. But these are only tiny little steps in the regulation framework, and of course this will have to do. I mean, the same has happened in other areas such as the environment. So in Alliance Robotic, we bet for IEC 62443. Today, this regulation is just a long list of recommendations. Everything is to be decided. In Europe, we are still reflecting about what the regulation on robot cybersecurity will be. So for sure, this will be a field that will matter in the future. We'll have to touch on this one way or another. The key advantages of this solution, well, we want to integrate these solutions with other Telefonica solutions in order to offer a holistic solution for companies. This is what they're asking for. So here we have our product. Alias works in two areas. One, services, in order to come up with a vulnerability analysis in companies. And then we have a unique product in the market, which is RIS. RIS is a robotic industrial system. This is an antivirus for robotics or for robotic products. We have no competitors. This is an incredibly incipient market. We'll have to evangelize a lot of customers. We know that the market will exist in the near future, so our task will be to start raising awareness about the importance of RIS and get a big market share if possible. Here we can see how the technology operates in a robot. So until now I gave you a big picture. We're speaking about the factory of the future, the hyper-connected factory, 5G-based, sensorics, highly developed sensorics. This is still something to be developed. We have been working on some concept items with leading companies at the global level, and of course, little by little, this will end up being split into smaller companies that will have to be connecting their devices similarly. Thank you very much.
Pues pasamos al turno de preguntas.
So now we're going to open a Q&A session because we have finished our speech. The first one is if we would be able to fabricate vaccines even faster than now. I think that not being sensationalist, I think that we can do things even faster. And there are some processes that can be made more efficient. And also reducing the losses or having artificial intelligence or smart intelligence and in order to detect some problems. So I would say yes, and I think we can manufacture faster. And I am sure there will be some regulatory frameworks that need to be evaluated, but in all manufacturing process there is a legal framework. We cannot hear the questions because they are not using the microphone. I'm terribly sorry.
Sí. El 5G supone una mayor conectividad.
Well, 5G means more connectivity. The vulnerability level can be increased. There is not a direct relationship, if it's your question, between implementing a 5G network and then consequently having more cybersecurity. We see that the companies that are going to have an impact on 5G, there is going to be more connection between the devices, so the entry lines, the weak points in a cyber attack. And I don't want to go back to being sensationalist or scary you, but it's not only 5G, it's also the connectivity that makes your factory more exposed. And 5G or private connectivities add what I said. It is a safe channel, but then we have a safe architecture, and then the asset, is the asset safe or not, the robot itself, and then with 5G and private connectivity we can add more specific features depending on the SLAs, the availability of the information, and not only safety, also the warranty of the service or the availability of information in the critical applications that should work adequately and respecting the time frames without interferences or interactions between the critical applications. And this is what I was saying. So, Manuel, if there are no more questions, I think there is another question.
Podemos entender que el conectar.
Do you think that connecting robots or factories and the environments is going to mean a step forward vis-a-vis the situations we had before, and that now we are scary because we were not scared of the technologies of the past, of the 90s, and maybe you are experts. Maybe cybersecurity is a layer that we can add to all these, and companies are still secure, but it is really worthwhile to look for these connectivities with 5G. Yes, absolutely. We saw the example before of Gestam, and when connecting your factory and bringing it to a Gmail model or to monitor what's happening and applying advanced models in a process or a robotic cell, your process in the factory, gives you an added value. So connecting gives you an added value always. And connecting also contributes with this exposure, as I said. But I think it's totally worthy, but we need to be aware since the beginning of how critical, how important is cybersecurity in all these processes. And we need to build in parallel. I am building my processes and connecting them. I need to be aware as well of how am I doing, so it has to be in parallel. So going digital has a lot of advantages. It is not something new. So since the first robotics were introduced, the turnover has increased, the quality, and these developments have some challenges that we need to finish. And cybersecurity is one of those, but the advantages are obvious, and digitalization is going to benefit everybody. We need to do this digitalization correctly with the partners that we need, helping you in this digitalization process, and then to have an added value vis-a-vis your competitors. And the previous question, going faster with the vaccines, I don't think this is the question. I think that we can manufacture vaccines faster, and one after the other, we can copy them, reiterate it. But this robotics, this digital robotics is going to make us more flexible, because we want to manufacture 100 Pfizer vaccines or 20 Pfizer's for this bracket of age with these symptoms, and we want to adequate these raw materials. So this flexibility is what is what really is important. Flexibility. Being faster is not the question. We are talking about connected companies. If we wanted to do things faster, we put more robots and that's it. It's going to be faster, but the flexibility, being able to change in this changing world, so we can make more flexible vaccines depending on your race or your age, different typologies of vaccines. And I think that this is going to happen with hyperconnectivity and the massive implementation of connectivity in devices. Okay. If there are no more questions, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being here and for being here virtually. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here.
Gracias.